Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Secretary. Good to see you. And I wanted to compliment your Undersecretary of Policy, Carlos Monge, who recently visited Alaska. He got all around the state, and we really appreciate that. I think he came away with a better sense of some of our challenges, as you're seeing here. Senator Lummis and others are all wanting you to get up to our states. I think the chair had a good idea. A big swing out west would help. You see all the unique challenges. I'll give you one in my state. We have over 200 communities who are not connected by roads. Pretty unique challenge. And we're quite big, and like Wyoming, not very densely populated. So I think it's important for you to see that. Let me provide another invitation. Senator Cantwell and I are going to be hosting a meeting on May 23rd dealing with the two DoD strategic ports that matter a lot to our states, the Port of Tacoma, the Port of Anchorage. They're connected from a standpoint of economic activity together, but they're also very important to our military, to MIRAD, and unfortunately they were ranked the lowest in terms of readiness of the 18 DoD strategic ports. So we're trying to get together with the MIRAD administrator, the Transcom commander, Undersecretary Monet, and if you can make that as well, that would be an important meeting with two members, including the chairman of this committee. So mark your calendar on that one if you can make it. It's going to be important.
Senator Sullivan, if I could, how much of the product that goes to Alaska is delivered by water?
90%.
90% of what Alaskans consume is delivered by water?
Correct, and most of it comes through the great state of Washington. So it's important stuff.
But the point is, if the port infrastructure isn't supported more, then 90% of the goods can't be
correct,
easily delivered or delivered at all. So,
yes.
Thank
so
you.
Big priorities. You and I have talked about it, and the chair and I have been focused on it together. So we want you to try to make that. I won't try to get your commitment now, but if you can take a hard look at your calendar and try and make it, it would be really important. I also want to just mention, like so many other senators, essential air service for our state is also really, really important. Let me talk about another topic that I think hopefully you're concerned about. I certainly am concerned about. So I was one of the Republicans who voted for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. I'm on the EPW committee as well, which wrote a lot of that bill. And one of the things that we were able to get in that bill that we thought was very important was permitting reform. And you and I have actually talked about permitting reform. I think some of the biggest advocates in America for streamlining permitting, not cutting corners, but 10 years to permit a bridge, 20 years to permit a gold mine in Alaska. That happened. Now it's over 400 jobs at that mine, and it's called Kensington Mine. Our permitting system is broken. And so there has been a bipartisan effort, it was in the bipartisan infrastructure, to start addressing that. A number of us are talking about infrastructure and energy issues. Even yesterday, a bipartisan group, we had a discussion last night. NEPA was a really big topic of discussion, I think, bipartisan interest. I know when you and I talked during your confirmation process, mayors and governors in particular, regardless of political party, are very motivated by this because they see the challenges on the front lines when permitting takes 10 years to permit a bridge in America, which is just ridiculous. Were you consulted on this very recent NEPA regulation that came out of CEQ? Madam Chair, I'd like to submit a op-ed for the record. This is from the Wall Street Journal entitled "How to Kill American Infrastructure on the Sly." The White House revises NEPA rules that will scuttle new roads, bridges, and oil and gas pipelines.
I think it already was, but just to make sure, without objection.
Well, we'll do it again. Were you consulted on this? Because I'm reading through it, and I'm really concerned that what we all want to have happen now in terms of implementing the bipartisan infrastructure legislation is literally going to be delayed. I know it's going to be delayed by this new rule. Were you consulting on this, and do you have a view on it? And are you concerned that it's going to delay infrastructure projects?
So we're at the table in CEQ processes like this one and value the chance to weigh in. We want to make sure that all laws, including NEPA, are of course complied with, and we also want to make sure that project delivery is prompt and efficient. One of the first things that we did coming out of the passage of the bipartisan law was to work on that one federal decision provision, which I think was a 60-day requirement to establish that pathway for and information about categorical lists can move through NEPA with very little friction. I certainly recognize where these concerns are coming from. Also, though, believe that with the right level of partnership, transparency, and technical assistance up front, these requirements need not unduly delay projects that are worthy and that are legally compliant.
So just real quick, I'm out of time, but just one quick follow-up. It's not just NEPA compliance. That rule has to comply with the bipartisan infrastructure bill itself, which had a number of important permitting reform provisions. Not as many as I would have liked, but it did have some. So can you commit to me to just make sure you're looking at that new CEQ rule and make sure it actually complies with the most recent law that just passed, which was about streamlining and moving projects more quickly? I think this new rule that was just promulgated is going to do the exact opposite. Can you commit to me to doing that?
Yes, my expectation is everything we do will comply with the bipartisan infrastructure law, and we'll certainly review that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Tester, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
And